This is Kathy Romey Saltzman. She's a wonderful person. She's also a wonderful choir director. She's teaching at the Minnesota University, and she is conducting choirs there. And one of her most beloved pieces is Handel's Messiah. This is true for myself. I'm Helmuth Rilling, and Kathy has come from the United States here because we tried to write a book about the Messiah. Kathy, welcome here.
Thank you. It's a great privilege and honor to be able to collaborate with my former teacher, Helmuth Rilling, on such an important book. And Messiah, of course, is a piece that I knew as a child, that my father conducted every year, and that I've grown up with and come to conduct myself and prepare for many other conductors.
Well, Messiah is an important piece, and perhaps it's the most performed oratorio of the 18th century. And as I said, we both love it. We both perform it, and many other people do the same. And so we know quite well there are many open questions which you have to answer when you do a performance. This goes from the forces you need, from the additions you use, from rehearsal techniques to research about the sources, the different versions. And this is very interesting. And so we have come up with a schedule for our working with that score, and always posing questions which are encountered by all musicians who have to do with the piece. So, for example, Kathy, I think for conductors there are many things which they need to know when performing the piece. Could you go into that?
Sure. We've been discussing these past days aspects of the score that we would need to consider if we were going to be presenting a performance, and this deals with issues of tempo and articulation, the forces, the soloists, how one approaches score study of the work itself, and then how that translates to the rehearsal organization, and then ultimately to final presentation.
So far we have planned the book in a way that we first talk in general about certain aspects, but then we go to every number of the piece. The symphony, then we go to the first accompagnato recitative, and then we come soon to the first chorus. And there are certain aspects which every performing person, the conductor, the soloist, the instrumentalist, the chorus singers, have to answer, but which are also interesting for the general public. Mm-hmm. And so we have an order which we follow for every piece. We'll talk about the structure of the piece, and you say this is a very important study, the structural analysis. Mm-hmm. Would you want to go into that?
I find, as a former student of Helmuth's, that his process of score study is multi-layered and very in-depth. And so this aspect of the structure informs every part of his work with music, and then the process by which he teaches the music. And so to look at this aspect of structure as it informs the research and the practical aspect of presenting and rehearsing the work, for me, is very interesting and also critical to the final performance.
After talking about the structure, which we will do for every number, for every movement, every piece, we'll go into practical questions. How should the tempo be? How should the dynamics be? What kind of articulation would we use? What kind of ornaments should we put in? are there cadenzas for the soloists? And at the very end, we want to come to something which I think is very important. This is the significance of the given movement, not just the whole piece, but the given movement. So what does Handel want to express with this? I think at the very end this is the most important central question. What does the piece mean? What do you convey with Handel's music to an audience? And I think we'll take some time to talk about that at length. Mm-hmm. Well, we hope that such an undertaking finds the interest of many people. What do you think, for example, in regards to your students in the States? Where would they be most interested? What would be the items where they say, I want to know more about this?
I think that Helmuth's in a unique position as both a prominent conductor and also as a former church musician, someone who has studied both theology and music, to share these types of insights into the thinking of another great composer, church musician, to think more deeply about the theological aspects of the work. How do the movements relate to one another? What is the thinking of Charles Jennens? And then how does Handel take these ideas and illuminate them in music? And this, I think, is something that my students would be very interested in. My students are not just academics, they are also church musicians. And so to think more critically about the theology of the work as it relates to the music is something that would be of great interest.
Well, we have started already to come up with some texts, looking at the piece from many different sides, and we will continue in the days and weeks and months to come to work on the piece. I'm very grateful to the Carus edition that they will bring out the book, which is already preceded by a very good edition which Carus has from the Messiah score and all the materials necessary for performances. And I hope the result will be interesting to many people, and I hope we can do a good work.
Yes. And may I just say that the Carus edition, which Ton Koopman has so carefully crafted, is a wonderful and very thorough scholarly edition, the most recent edition that I know. And it's been a joy to be able to look at this edition and to work with such a wonderful score.